this is Georgia with Georgia's Crafty Creations, and I'm bringing another project to you today as part of May Made It's design team. And I'm going to do another Christmas card because it's getting up to the time where probably people are mostly done with their Christmas cards, but I wanted to give you one more idea. We're going to be making this 9-patch quilt Christmas card. I made one on another video a little bit different, but I like this one because it's bigger squares and it just fills the whole card. And on the inside we're going to be using a sentiment from May Made It stamp set, Celebrate the Season. We're going to be using the one that starts Celebrate the Season. So we're going to be using that stamp set, and the paper we are using is coming from Plaid Christmas by Michelle Coleman, and I'll leave a link to this down below for May store where you can find this paper pad. So let's get started on what you're going to need to make this card. You're going to need, this is a 5-inch square card, so you're going to need a piece of paper, cardstock 5x10, and you're going to score that at 5 inches. You're going to need 2 gold squares. These are cut at 4 3/4 inches, the gold squares. And then your white squares, you're going to need 2 of these. These are cut at 4 1/2 inches. And then you're also going to need 9 squares cut at 1 1/2 inch square. Now the paper I used for this had Santas on one side and snowflakes on the other. And then my center one for this one, I used a piece from one of the sentiment sheets. I just used the big Santa because I thought it would go cute. And you're going to lay these out the way you want them. We're going to use all snowflakes. We're going to use 4 snowflakes. Then I like that Santa. When you're using 2-sided paper, you want to look at your picture and see which pictures you like better. Because the unpatterned side, the snowflakes, can be anything. And look at those. Let's see, I like that one. We're going to put this one up here. And you're going to lay these squares out, and I like that one up there, however you want them. And then once you get those laid out, you're going to take one of your 4 1/2 inch white squares, and you're going to glue these down onto your white square. And I'm just going to use art glitter glue for this. And you just start with 1 square, and you get it lined up where you want it. Now sometimes I'll put these through my Xyron too, it just makes it go quicker, but we're going to use art glitter glue today. And you want to make sure and get your first square lined up with the edge of your white card and get it straight, because that will make the rest of your squares line up. So then you're just going to continue to put your cards on, your little squares, until you get your card filled up. So there we have our square, and I have a little bit of white on either side of this, so I think I'm going to take and just shave a little bit off of each side to kind of just get that white off, because I don't really want that on there. And it just may mean that I start it like off the edge of the card, but that looks pretty good. And then what we're going to do next, before we mount this to our gold card, I'm going to take an embossing folder. To make it look quilted, we want some texture to it. This is a Cuttlebug mosaic that we're going to do this time. And I'm just going to slip this in here and emboss it real quick to make it look like it has stitching to it. And do that and be right back. Okay, we're going to pull this out. And it just gives a nice pattern to it, like a quilt. Now you could take ink and go over this, but since this is a pattern paper, I really don't want to have the ink on top of it. So we're going to keep it like that. And then we're going to take this and we're going to put it onto one of our gold squares. And I'm going to make sure to get plenty glue on this one just because of the embossing. That looks good. Make sure. Got a little bit of glue down there, but the art glitter glue dries clear, so that's not going to hurt it at all. You just want to kind of wipe it off of there since it's a shiny paper. And then we're going to take that and we're going to mount it onto our card. And then before we embellish the front, we're going to go ahead and do the inside of our card. Now I'm going to use the sentiment from Celebrate the Season. And we're going to use our Mini Misty to stamp it in case I need to stamp a couple times. Now we are going to emboss this. We're going to be using an ultrafine embossing powder from Brutus Monroe. It's a gilded gold. Get this down in here, and then we're just going to line up my sentiment where I want it. And I'm going to be using embossing ink for this. That looks good. Oh, not yet. I want to go over it with my embossing buddy because I don't want any static on this. There we go. Go ahead and get that inked up. I'm just going to tilt it so I can see if it's stamped good, and it looks like it did. So I'm going to set this aside and grab my little embossing powder tray. I'm just a little bit trying to stay on here. Let me see. Or I didn't stamp. You know what? We're going to restamp that because I just don't like that. If you don't like something, just redo it. I'm just going to dust this off in my garbage can. And we're going to flip it over to the other side and we're going to stamp this again. I'm going to go ahead and stamp it a couple times to make sure I have enough ink on. It's like there wasn't enough on the T and it was missing some of the letters. So that just means I didn't have enough ink on there. But you mess up, you flip it over, and you do it again. Or if you don't like it, do it again. And I'm going to go ahead and do it twice just to be on the safe side. It looks like it got it, but I just want to be sure. Let's see. That looks better. Now let's see what it does this time. Much better. Have just a little stray right down here. I'm just going to take a little brush and take that away, and that looks good. So we'll get this embossed. That looks good. I love this gold embossing powder. It just makes it look really rich. So now we're going to put that onto a gold mat for the inside. If I can salvage a piece of cardstock, I do it because nobody's ever going to see the mistake you made on the opposite side. paper's bowed a little, so I should have heated it from the underside just to straighten it out, but I didn't. But I'm just going to press this down with my glue until it goes smooth. And it's still, I'm going to put a little more glue in here. Just kind of press that down. I usually heat from underneath the cardstock once I do it to straighten it out, but I didn't do it this time, and I should have. But no worries, Art Glitter Glue to the rescue. I'm just getting a lot on my card. There we go. Just keep pressing that down. I'm going to turn it over and press it too. There we go. That looks much better. Then we're going to go ahead and glue this down to the inside. Yeah, that's a tip. When you're embossing, if your paper curls, just flip it over and heat it from the other side. It will straighten it. I just forgot to do it this time. Okay. Get that in there. And then what I'm going to do for trim right here, this is a piece from the inside. I'm going to cut this Santa Claus out just to put as a trim on the inside of the card because I'd like to have a little bit of trim there too. It's like these little sheets like this with all these little pictures. They're nice to put on inside the card to kind of match up. And just put a little bit of Art Glitter Glue on him. Put it right there on the inside. And then on the outside for a sentiment, what we're going to do, we're going to use this Happy Holidays. And all I'm going to do is take my 1.5 inch scallop punch. And I'm going to turn it over so I can see it. Except I'm going to have to cut a little bit off the top here so I can get to it. And we're just going to snap that punch right out of there. Easy peasy for a sentiment. And then I'm also going to take a piece of ribbon. And I'm going to trim it off right to the left of the snowflake. And I didn't do it straight. Yeah. And then right at my R. A lot of times I'll take my ribbon and wrap it around, but I just wanted this one flat. I didn't want any bulk behind the gold. And we're just going to glue that down right there. And I'm going to put the glue onto my page. And then we're just going to set the ribbon right down on it. And get it where we want it. I should have a paper towel with me to sop up the glue. And then we're going to take our little sentiment and I'm going to grab a foam square and I'm going to, mine that I have are long, so I'm going to cut it in half. And we're going to put that on the back of our sentiment. Quilt cards just remind me of childhood and the quilting my family did, and it's just a happy memory. And we're just going to put that Happy Holidays right there. And there you have a quick and simple Christmas card. Now if you wanted to make a more detailed quilt, what you could do is you could cut these squares diagonally and flip a piece and just make more pieces to your quilt, just like you would do if you're quilting. So I hope you like this video. If you do, like and subscribe below. Be sure, if you make the card, share it over on May Made It and So Did I on Facebook. And also share it on my Facebook page, Georgia's Crafty Creations. So have a great day, everybody. Happy crafting!